Hi, this is Hugh Dunstan, and I'm a retired professor in life sciences from the University of Newcastle in Australia.
And this is Tim Roberts. I'm an emeritus professor of life sciences from the University of Newcastle in Australia. We've worked together for over 30 years publishing research in fatigue and recovery.
In Season 2, we're going to introduce you to each of the 6 high-demand amino acids, also known as HDAA. Our goal is to show you how they play very important roles in everyday metabolism to keep you active and healthy. You won't need any background in biology, just a desire to optimize your well-being and performance. Today, we'll begin by looking at histidine. Tim, can you start by describing why we need this amino acid in the diet?
Sure. First of all, though, histidine is an amino acid, and there are about 20 or more amino acids that are used to make up our proteins. And most people know about proteins. Most people know that the amino acids are joined to each other in a string of bead-like model. So some proteins are big strings of beads, other proteins are small, and according to which amino acids are in there and the sequence of the amino acids, which comes from your genes, then that determines the function of that protein. But amino acids also have a whole lot of other functions in the body. They can act as neurotransmitters, for instance, and these functions of the amino acids are really, really important. So we need amino acids to build proteins, we need amino acids to carry out other functions in the body. Now, histidine is one of the 9 essential amino acids. In other words, we have to get it from our food. So depending on what foods we eat depends on how much of histidine we get. But histidine itself is incredibly important for everything from how good your skin feels, how moisturized your skin is, through to the production of your red blood cells. So histidine, I think, Hugh, is one of the most important amino acids.
Yes, it's one that I in talking with lots of people, they really haven't thought about it being important in the diet. But you mentioned it's important in the skin. How can an amino acid have importance in what your skin looks like?
Yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it? Everybody knows that to be young and beautiful, you need to keep your skin hydrated. Well, through evolution, our skin has been evolved a system whereby it's got a natural moisturizing factor to keep the surface of the skin from becoming dry and more easily infected. How this works is that we have a protein we produce in the basal levels of the skin called profilagrin. Doesn't matter about its name here, but what it is really, really rich in the amino acid histidine. And then as the skin develops, you know that your skin sloughs off, your skin cells move up in layers, and eventually these layers are lost. But as the profilagrin comes up, it gets broken down into individual amino acids, and they form a natural moisturizing factor on the surface of the skin. Histidine is vital to the production of that.
Yes, so these amino acids are released. There's only a few of them that are involved in it, but I believe they act as what we call a humectant, which means that they absorb water, a very fascinating property and obviously critical to being a natural moisturizing factor. So, Tim, I understand also that histidine has other areas of interest, for example, forming hemoglobin, which is, of course, the carrier of the oxygen in the body to the muscles and organs and tissues that it needs. What's going on there? Why is it so important?
Well, hemoglobin is what carries the oxygen around in our blood and transports the carbon dioxide out of our blood into our lungs, and we expel it. Hemoglobin is a complex structure, and the amino acid side of it is very, very rich in histidine. So we need histidine for good production of our red blood cells, for good production of our hemoglobin, a vital function really of histidine.
So if we don't have enough histidine in our diet, does that mean that we can get anemic?
Yes, certainly. I think it's vital to have the histidine coming in, just remembering, of course, it's an amino acid we can't synthesize, so it's an amino acid we have to get in our food. So yes, if we're not getting enough of that, we can get it in two ways, really, as histidine in proteins, but also as a histidine. Now, I've just forgotten the name of that dimer. What's that?
Carnosine.
Carnitine, yes,
Carnosine.
which is in meat.
Yes.
It's in meat. So if you're a vegetarian, you have to make sure that you're getting enough histidine in your diet. A meat eater will be getting the histidine that the normal vegetarian would be getting, plus in the meat would be getting this dipeptide, which is half made up of histidine itself.
Mm. And lastly, I understand also it has some important functions for keeping our brains active. What's happening with that?
Yeah, it's acting as a neurotransmitter there. We've had a look at all of the different functions of histidine, but one of the most important ones is inducing the neurotransmitter histamine in the nerve cells. Histidine the amino acid, histidine, has to be imported into the nerve cells. There it is converted to histamine, and the histamine itself has vital functions in the brain. The histamine itself is able to bind to a number of different receptors, and these bring about all sorts of different functions. So let's just summarise that, which we can, of course. That histamine itself is important in allergic inflammation, but it's also important in modulating the immune response. Histamine's an important neurotransmitter, and histamine is really, really important in the stomach in getting the secretion of the acid, the gastric acid needed for digestion. So perhaps I could just summarise that, Hugh, that the amino acid is called histidine. We have to get it in our diet. But histidine is the precursor of the vital substance histamine.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. So what we're hearing is that histidine, we can't make it ourselves. We've got to get it in the diet. We have many histidine-rich proteins, such as hemoglobin, which are vital to our functionality and keeping us active. It's used in multiple reactions around the body and used to make other very important molecules around the body. And then also, as a high-demand amino acid, it is involved in the sweating process and also comes out in urine. And the evidence is this is associated with processes that help retain sodium and chloride, which our body needs to do well, it really does need to do that to keep us going. So given all of that, what what kind of evidence or what kind of studies have they done to show whether supplementing with histidine has any benefits?
Well, certainly, there are a whole range of studies that have been carried out. I'll just list some of them. One of the most important one is in atopic dermatitis or eczema. Supplementation of 4 grams of histidine there results in a really good beneficial effect on the skin. I guess that is mirroring what we see in normal individuals who are making their profilagrin in a normal way and making their normal and natural moisturising factor. Also very good in cognitive function, very good in body weight management and regulation of glucose, very good as an antioxidant and as an anti-inflammatory. So there's a whole range of studies being carried out that show a beneficial effect of supplementing with histidine. And I think that in another talk, perhaps we should go into that, Hugh. We're running a bit out of time here, I think.
Yeah. So, look, thanks for joining us today, and we hope you have enjoyed learning about histidine. Whilst histidine is generally available from foods, what we've learnt is that highly active humans or those with chronic health issues may not receive appropriate quantities of histidine to meet their daily requirements. In our next podcast, we'll introduce glycine.
Before we go, though, Hugh, I just need to emphasise that it was our research that found the histidine being excreted in the sweat. And the reason we talk about high demand amino acids is not only that histidine does so much in the body, that histidine is needed to be in what we eat, but also when we sweat, we lose a lot of histidine to save sodium, but we lose the histidine and therefore it is in high demand.
Yes. So not only is it used extensively in the body for various processes, but it is also excreted extensively through urine and sweat. So the HDAA, including histidine, have been blended in the appropriate quantities in our Optimate and Electrate products. You can learn more about HDAA by typing HDAA nutrients into your search engine. Remember, HDAA for active humans.